You know, one of the things I love are s'mores. And whenever we have a fire, whether it's while we're out camping and sitting around the campfire, or whether it's here on our patio using this fire pit, I love a good s'more. You know, graham crackers, a big chunk of chocolate, and a melty, ooey, gooey, toasty marshmallow. No matter how many s'mores I eat and how full my tummy is after eating them, I always get hungry again. You know, that's kind of the way it is with s'mores. As a matter of fact, that's the way it is with all food. No matter how much we eat and how full we get, eventually we get hungry again. So our story today is about another kind of hunger. A hunger not from our tummies, but another kind of hunger. Our story comes from the book of John, chapter 6, verses 25 through 40. Now, right before our story happens, you'll remember another story that took place. It was when Jesus did that crazy miracle of feeding 5,000 people with just a couple little fish and a little bit of bread. So we fast forward to the next day, and our story says this. Jesus looked at the people as they had gathered and were waiting on him out there on the hillside again. And Jesus said to the people, you know, you're not coming looking for me because of the wonderful miracle I did yesterday. You're coming to look at me because you're hungry again. He said, don't work for food that doesn't last, but work for food that will last for eternity. And the people said, Jesus, what kind of miracle are you going to do so that we'll believe in you and we'll believe in that special kind of food that you're talking about? They said, you know, Moses, when our ancestors were wandering out in the desert, he gave them manna from heaven. And boys and girls, if you remember, manna was that thing that was provided every day so that the Israelites had something to eat. But Jesus says it wasn't Moses who gave them that bread. It was bread from heaven, bread that God gave. And if you want eternal life, you need to have the bread of life. Jesus says, I am the bread of life, and whoever comes to me will never go hungry again. Can you think of another place in the Bible where Jesus talks about himself and bread? On the night before Jesus was crucified, Jesus and his disciples gathered in the upper room and they celebrated the Passover meal. And in the middle of the meal, do you remember how Jesus took the bread and he broke it? And he said, this is my body which is broken for you. Take it and eat. You know, I wonder in that moment, did the disciples stop and think about that time out on the mountainside where Jesus had said that he was the bread of life? And if you ate of him, you would never go hungry again? I wonder. Now you see, we don't really eat Jesus' body, but when we take communion, we eat the bread that symbolizes Jesus' body, and we're reminded that if we have Jesus, we'll never go hungry again, right? You see, we have two holes in us that need to be filled. We have our tummies that need to be filled with food. And if we eat good, healthy foods, our tummies get full and we feel satisfied, and our bodies have the strength and energy we need to be able to be strong and healthy. And then we have another hole. That hole is our heart, and it needs to be filled too. But it needs to be filled with the right things. You see, some people try to fill that hole in their heart with the wrong things. Sometimes they try to fill it with success and work and the wrong kinds of friends. But there's only one thing that will fill that hole in our heart, and that's Jesus. So if we can fill our hearts with Jesus, then we will be able to have a strong, healthy life as well. You know, as much as I love s'mores and I would love to eat them all the time, there's really only one thing I want some more of, and that's Jesus. I want some more of Jesus in my heart and in my life, and I hope you do too.